Hey, Joe Frago here again with another kind of ghetto video I'm going to do from my bed just because I can. And I wanted to do this spoiler review of Cyberfrog up to this point. And warning, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So if you are waiting to read or don't want to be spoiled by the story, go ahead and click off. There's only going to be a few viewers anyway, but I just thought because of some of the stupidity I've been seeing on Twitter as of late with people pretending that they don't understand the story or like trashing the writing or saying it's not cohesive. And a lot of it is really from a place of ignorance. A lot of these people that are talking trash, they judge the book solely based off of ripped screenshots and screenshots from the campaign page. And I mean, it really shows because I'm no person of import. I'm not a genius or all that bright myself, but I mean, I had no problem understanding the story and the characters and falling in love with the story and the characters. So I figured I'd go through a quick little spoiler kind of thing because I don't really understand the confusion. So I mean, Cyberfrog Blood Honey, you can see the beautiful cover. This is one of the original copies, so I know he went with a better paper for one of the reprints, which I have on my shelf, but I figured I'd go with this. So it starts off pretty simple, pretty quick. It explains the Vespers and the threat that it poses to Earth, and about how the Perdani were able to defeat them, and how their planet wanted to give Earth a fighting chance as well. So they sent a cybernetic womb of sorts that unfortunately doesn't find an ideal human suitor for their technology, but they were able to find a Cyberfrog and a Salamander, which quickly gave birth to Cyberfrog and Sal, and it all happens kind of fast, but I feel like as a reader, it makes sense that it happens so fast, because I mean, look how fast it happened with Cyberfrog. He's just woke up out of nowhere and told, hey, your job's to defend Earth and love humans, and he's just sort of like, all right. But as you'll quickly learn, one of my favorite scenes, I know a lot of the ISOM fanboys are like allergic to saying what their favorite scenes are, but Sal's first appearance is amazing. But a little bit of foreshadowing for future instances is that you'll quickly learn that the Perdani are not flawless, and neither are their creations. So Cyberfrog was sort of thrust into this role where he's told that he has to love and protect humans, but even without reading the old books with his shenanigans, they quickly, just with a few page, maybe just the one page here, yeah, they kind of quickly show that like he wasn't necessarily returned that sort of love and adoration, and you can see it affect him pretty quickly in the way that he goes moving forward. And so I think it kind of, being a flawed character, he ended up not necessarily taking all the right steps, and instead of preparing for the invasion, he sort of ended up kind of slacking off, fighting, maybe mediocre street villains, in his own weird way, doing what he could to possibly protect humans, and, his love for humans that he kind of grows through finding and loving Heather Swain, which will be another issue getting brought up. But in the end, like I said, fighting petty criminals, and then you get to the bridge scene and doing much of the same, but at the same time, the Vespers end up attacking, and unfortunately for Sal and Cyberfrog, they get overwhelmed and defeated, and Cyberfrog ends up going into a hibernation state. So, spoilers obviously, but he ends up waking up, 20 years later? I think 20 years later, and the world has changed. And also you'll find out that Heather Swain remarried and had a kid, which is one of the stupid sort of insults to the book that I've seen recently. It's like, oh, Cyberfrog got cucked by Heather Swain because she married and had a kid, but like their relationship was never supposed to be romantic. It never came off as romantic. They were clearly friends. Frog and Sal are both sort of childlike in their own right, and both Sal, Cyberfrog, and Heather are kind of rejects to a certain point. And so this stupid idea that somehow by Heather marrying and having a kid being cucked is just ridiculous. And you'll see later with Cyberfrog having sort of a wholesome relationship with Heather's daughter, that people try to use as some sort of negativity. It's just foolish. So that was basically what happened with the first book. And then we get to Death Sting, which recent criticism has said, oh, but it wasn't in Cyberfrog 1. It doesn't count if it's not in Cyberfrog. Death Sting was sold, advertised as, and fulfilled as a filler for some of the stuff that went on behind the scenes. And that's clear as a customer. And when I bought it, I understood that. And unlike these people that haven't read the books, I did read the books. I bought the books. I have more Cyberfrog and Salamandroid content than just these three. These are just the most important in my opinion. But with Death Sting, you learn a little bit more about the Perdani, as well as, once again, like I said, foreshadowing their flaws. So they sent another womb that created Scorpion and his brother, which is supposed to be like the Sal and Cyberfrog type. But you'll right away, Scorpion ends up killing his brother, betraying, the Perdani, and then takes his mother and sort of uses her like a tool more than like a mother. And you'll see here they're like the Pinras, it's in their blood. So, I mean, there's probably a history there, but it doesn't really need too much depth. But it's pretty simple, pretty understandable that. And it is explained that he ends up taking sort of a different route. So as you've seen when Cyberfrog and Sal were fighting Pollinate on the bridge, they were delivering a bomb. It's because Scorpion's plan is sort of a more criminal underbelly sort of plan in preparing for the swarm. And it's actually pretty interesting because he sort of scolds Salamandroid and Cyberfrog saying, you see me as a criminal, but you've wasted all this time playing games in the streets with common criminals while I've created, this criminal underground. And he's gathered weapons in preparation for the swarm, which he kind of sort of implies that he may want to make a deal just to survive or possibly be able to fight against the swarm. So that's Death Sting. Like I said, terrible writing, incoherent. I don't get it because I've very much enjoyed all these books. And then you get to Cyberfrog 2 when he returns. And once again, I said it was really stupid how they're implying Cyberfrog got cucked by Heather Swain because he's like, you fucking furries, shut the fuck up. Like, their relationship was never like that. They're good friends, more like a brother and sister, or a stray cat even, maybe, to Heather in some sense, and like the art's great. And it's explained pretty clearly exactly what's going on. Cyberfrog wakes up and it's been, I believe, 20 years. I'd hate to be wrong, but I haven't read these in a while. But to find that Heather's still alive, some of the humans are still alive, and they've been living in this survivalist sort of environment. And I think I already passed the page where he got shot. Yeah, there's like the same screenshot everyone's been sharing, like making fun of. Oh, here we go. So Cyberfrog ends up getting shot by one of the humans, which I kind of glossed over, but then Heather finds him and tells him sort of like a cheesy knock-knock joke. And a lot of people are like, oh my god, look how stupid that is. It's stupid. But I mean, really, it's kind of a wholesome moment between two like really good friends that have been apart for a long time. Sort of like Heather's maternal instincts picking up on Frog, who's sort of just foolishly sulking, which is in his character to do because he's flawed, as any interesting character probably should be. And this story goes on with him just sort of like interacting with the surviving humans, not quite fitting in with the new world that's set up, which ends up with, ironically enough, getting Heather Swain's daughter to sort of find interest in him when she initially wasn't, because he's sort of silly and goofy and not like everybody else. And like any other post-apocalyptic survival story, it sort of delves into the fact that the invaders, the zombies, the invaders, the monsters aren't necessarily the biggest threat. And they delve a little bit into it and hint at that sort of the humans were kind of conniving behind the scenes, which ended up hurting Heather and her daughter and Cyberfrog. And in the end, you find out, spoiler, that it appears that the Vespis have... It implies that they're more intelligent. Also, it shows with Cyberfrog fighting the Vespis, you find out that they're stronger than they used to be because they've adapted to Earth's gravity, and so their shells have actually hardened over time. That was another cool aspect. Where was I at? Now I got sidetracked. But yeah, you end up finding out basically some of the humans may have done some... Oh, their intelligence. You find out that the Vespis are more intelligent than previously thought. And, I mean, therefore, even more of a threat even than just being a simple hive, like, sort of zombie-like threat. You find out that they actually do have more sentience and capabilities than even previously thought, which makes them more scary. And it ends with Heather Swain's daughter being taken and Cyberfrog being injured, and that's kind of a cliffhanger from there. So it was really spoiler. I just completely blazed through. It's just a stupid idea that people keep shoving like down the throat of like readers, that like Cyberfrog is so terribly written, it's such a horrible comic book that the fans don't actually enjoy it, that it's shit. Like, and we've heard it for years and years and years. Any of you guys that have been part of Comicsgate for any amount of time, you know, any book that we've backed, we've been told that we're stupid for enjoying, that we're too dumb to realize that we've been ripped off or some other ridiculous bullshit, when really it's up to the fans to make that choice. And I've had to make that choice about creators over the years. Most of my books have turned out... I'm not disappointed with many books that I've received. I got a couple hundred at this point, and there's a few where the art isn't maybe as good as some others, but the writing's there. There's a few where the art's great and the writing may not be 100% there, but I don't have any regrets about my purchases. And I've met a lot of good people and a lot of indie creators at all levels. Like obviously Ethan and some of his, you know, Comicsgate Kings friends have a leg up because they've worked in the industry. But a lot of my favorite books are from non-industry pros. I mean, like I've mentioned on Twitter, but I don't know. I just wanted to go on a random rant because I'm sick of some of the bullshit I'm seeing on Twitter, and thought I'd do a spoiler review-ish sort of Cyberfrog up to this point. And this didn't include all the supplementals. There's still some other ones, but like I said, these 3 books in my opinion go through, get you up to date pretty quickly, and some of the other ones are just fun, and the warts and all obviously being the older style and this being the more reboot. But anyway, catch you on the flip side. Haters of Cyberfrog are going to say, oh my god, you said a cringe thing from the 90s as a character that was in the 90s. Okay, bye.